You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Welcome into the Gibson Fantasy Football Podcast.
Woo! Double intro. I like it.
It was so nice. We did it twice.
Couscous. Food so
Couscous. Bam, bam.
We can go on forever.
I don't know about forever. We got a few, though.
Yeah. That was actually all I had.
I was hoping you would end the game at that point. I didn't have a whole lot up my sleeve either. Well, here we are, December 21st, another rockin' Wednesday. We are on the eve of football once again. We have ourselves an intriguing Jets-Jaguars, and I don't think I've ever uttered those words in my life.
Who thought this would be the game of the week? Well, maybe the game of the week. I don't know. I got to check them out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good game anyway. It's two teams that have playoff implications that are still playing for something with 3 weeks to go. So you told me when the season started that the Rams would be eliminated from the playoffs and the Jets and Jaguars would be playing on Thursday in a competitive game to make the playoffs. Don't think I would have believed you.
Also, too, San Fran's got a playoff spot, and who the quarterback is, what's his name?
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Like, no way. No. Vegas wouldn't have even taken the bet.
Oh, my goodness. It's a wild, wild story this year.
It's great. It's well, it sucks for the injuries, obviously. I mean, but it's been great storylines, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's making football very unpredictable, which, you know, is not as fun for fantasy sometimes because it's kind of hard to figure out what the heck to do, but it is making it entertaining to watch because you just literally never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly.
Anything you can dream up as a possibility has probably happened this year. Just like your Raiders and their miracle victory this week.
Chandler Jones, I don't even think was expecting that. I think it was a shock.
Oh my goodness.
Poor Mac Jones just gets stiffed arm.
What a position to put your quarterback in. Why don't you tackle this 300-pound, extremely athletic defensive end to save your team from losing the game? Yeah. I bet when he saw the ball coming, he was like, F this.
Yeah, no way this is happening.
I'm not even going to try to catch that.
Oh, wow.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah.
Crazy times. We are here in these crazy times, ripping it up, having some fun. GibsonFantasyFootball.com, Gibson_FF, Gibson Fantasy Football, all one word, Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, and Spotify. And we are getting ready for the semifinals, or what should be the semifinals in everyone's league. I sure hope so. I don't want anybody playing in week 18. That's just craziness.
Yeah, you don't want that. It's already starting to look dicey for some players. So
yeah. I mean, players like Jalen Hurts, who we'll talk about, even if he was healthy, there's a chance they might be arrested. So
yeah, exactly. So
by the time week 18 rolls around, it's a disaster. But nonetheless, we are here. We are getting ready for week 16. And we had ourselves an interesting extravaganza last week because the playoff matchups in terms of who made it in could not change, but who finished where and who played who could change. So we've got all that figured out now, and we get a chance to recap that wild and wacky week 15. And it starts off by highlighting someone who, had themselves a not so good day.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go there first. All right. Oh, Don.
Yeah, it wasn't a good week.
No, not so good. Not so good. She had a tough go of it. Pop that up here. I mean, just we kind of knew it, right? Her team was banged up. She had no way
Yeah.
of getting into the playoffs. It was almost better to lose. She locks up the number 1 pick for next year. I mean, it just and she did try. Like she put together a half decent lineup, which I mean,
Yeah.
95.9 points is not actually like the worst we've had this year by a long shot. So it's not as if her team was completely terrible.
Tight end didn't show up. That's for sure.
No,
That's
Fryermuth goosed her.
Freiermuth.
He goosed a lot of people this week, which was unfortunate. He was, in a pretty good spot against Carolina, but he was banged up going into the game, and then he never even got a target. Man, played on 49% of the snaps, but jeepers. So yeah, I mean the goose there. Hurts, Pickens, the other Pittsburgh player. I mean they just ran the ball a ton, so he didn't really do much. Her kicker was, they were scoring touchdowns, not kicking field goals, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, Gus Edwards just didn't get much going. That whole Ravens offense only put up 3 points. So, I mean, she had a pretty good day out of Brady, man. He went, I mean, that game was crazy. We were watching that together in the afternoon there for a bit.
Yeah.
He went and established a massive lead for the Bengals there against the Bengals. And it was like, oh, man, maybe Brady's going to like figure some things out here. And then he committed 4 turnovers and lost the game.
Yeah. She left Zay Jones on the bench though. That hurt. That would have
I feel
definitely
like a lot of people did. Jaguars facing the Lions there, and then it's like, Dallas, and you were thinking like, well, it's not really a good matchup. Dallas is a pretty good team. Is that the wise thing to do? But he's been on fire, and that did not stop this week. That's for sure.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he torched it again, man. And I'm sure people will be chasing that tomorrow night against the Jets.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Why not? Follow that up.
Yeah.
And,
Mostert had a big game with Jeff Wilson out, 136 on the ground, 20 through the air. Tyreek Hill did his thing. Thielen caught a touchdown. Hopkins was okay. But yeah, just not enough production out of her team to take down Kreger, who actually had a pretty good score when you look at it relative to the rest of us. He was the 3rd highest score on the week, so pretty good for him.
He had a pretty big score. Joe Burrow, big week.
4 touchdowns thanks to that comeback, plus a 2-point conversion.
Barkley, 20 points.
Yeah, 87 on the ground, 33 through the air, got the touchdown. Kamara did over 100 yards. Kittle with that huge game on Thursday.
Yeah.
Taking 2 big passes to the house for a couple tutties. Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Receiving touchdown, over 100 yards. Yeah, he had a good week, man. I mean, his team was dangerous. There was him and Evan. I mean, it's tough, man. They just barely missed out on the playoffs, but
yeah,
they could have made some noise.
They win the week that after they needed the big win. They both win.
Yeah, exactly right. They both put out nice performances, but it was too little, too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, kicker, Miami defense got tore up by Buffalo. We kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, pretty good week for him, and not such a great week for Don.
Nope.
Now, on the side of that, as there always is, there's an opposite. It's an individual who had themselves a lovely week. One might even say the loveliest. Dan the man, living on top of the world.
Sure is.
Yeah, he got her done. The old 151.2 for a big old victory over Jay, who also had a nice week actually. But yeah, he made his mark there. Just pretty much his whole team outside of defense, kicker, and outside of Cooper and his defense and kicker, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, just solid day from everybody basically.
Just realized I
McKinnon.
could share screen it while we talk, so we could look at it from here.
Yeah, I keep looking at my phone to check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see from that. It's a little small, but it does show you anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, Hurts with a big game again, man. 3 rushing touchdowns, just outrageous. Threw for 300 yards, 60 on the ground. Chris Godwin, another 8 for 81 and 1. He got in on one of the touchdowns there. Eckler found the end zone in a pitiful game from the Chargers, but they got the win. Swift was all right. Kelsey, even though he didn't score, had a big day. Etienne had over 100 yards with a fumble, but Jerick McKinnon, man, back-to-back weeks is the overall running back 1, thanks to 2 multi-touchdown games.
Yeah, that's all he needs, eh? Like it just seems 70 yards. Like, I mean, 2 touchdowns is impressive, but you think it would have been more yards.
Oh, that was 70 receiving yards. He also added another, I can't remember what it was, 60 on the ground, I think.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he tore it up. Which is kind of funny because it's like the Chiefs scored 30 points, but he only got 4 from his kicker because it was 4 touchdowns.
Oh.
It must have been a field goal in there, though, no?
1 field goal, it says.
Oh, yeah, 1 field goal, 1 PAT. Oh, they must have gone for 2 there at one point. Or maybe he missed the PAT. But Tampa Bay D got tore up by Cincy. But otherwise, I mean, big performance. A lot of players putting up big points. 230-plus performances between McKinnon and Hurts. I mean, on the other side, though, I mean, Jay picked up Cousins, which was probably the story of the week, man. Talking about crazy games. Biggest comeback in NFL history.
Dr.
They're down
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
33-0, man.
Yeah, it really was. It was like one half was just disgusting, and you just saw it in the fans. And then the second half, completely different.
That was crazy, man. Came back with 460 and 4. Jesus. It's, right behind Hurts was the second quarterback on the week. So they had the 2 best quarterbacks going. And I mean, if we were in a 6-point format, it would have been Cousins. But the rushing touchdowns is what boosted Hurts there. And then A.J. Brown got in on the action from Hurts, which is kind of an interesting one, right? When you've got the wide receiver and they've got the quarterback, you always kind of wonder, how's that going to pan out?
Oh, for sure.
And 9 for 81 means he accounted for most of his yards, but he didn't get any of the touchdowns because they were all rushing. So that's kind of the ideal situation for Dan there. McLaurin was good. Derrick Henry was on fire again, especially as a receiver, man. 59 receiving yards, which is cherry on top with that guy. Jacobs had another solid game. It's going to be interesting, man, because he's hard not to play Mark Andrews, but he's been so bad.
Yeah, he's not doesn't have that same connection.
Well, like, look at this, man. There's the game log: 4.6, 2.7, 7.4, 9, 9.3, 0, 4.8, 0.4. Like, we're talking week 6 is the last time he had like a really good game.
Wow. That's pretty,
Like,
Lamar was playing in some of those weeks.
yeah. I mean, he got hurt in the middle patch, but there was
Oh,
at
that's
least
right.
a handful of games he played with Lamar, and it was still bad. Like, it's just unfathomably bad this year for him. Pacheco failed in the dream matchup against Houston, had 86 yards, but lost a fumble, and that was part of why McKinnon got so much work on the ground. So that was kind of interesting. They had the Chiefs' backs against each other, and obviously McKinnon ended up being the better option there.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson, that Washington game, they were about to. He ran in a touchdown to tie the game there to set them up for the 2-point convert, but got called back on the Terry McLaurin legal formation penalty, which was pretty controversial.
Mm.
Another crazy finish to a game last week.
Yeah.
So lots of wildness, man. As a
Yeah,
result,
nothing too much from there.
now,
Nothing from his
all right,
kicker.
let's go here. Actually, this is a really close one between OMG. So I had a pretty big lead rocking early. Things were going well. I had a nice performance there. Out of McCaffrey on the Thursday. Jamar Chase was rocking. Garrett Wilson did his thing. Justin Jefferson had a huge game on Saturday. CeeDee Lamb was awesome. Zeke got in the end zone. And then things started going downhill there because my tight end did nothing, and Justin Herbert was just abysmal.
Yeah, it's not good. I'm surprised they got the win in that game.
That's crazy, eh? It's because
Oh,
one was a rushing out touchdown by Eckler, one by Josh Kelly, and then a field goal to set up the winning 17-14. But still, just a brutal game in what should have been an awesome matchup. I mean, he threw 313 yards, but couldn't get in the end zone.
no. The Tennessee D came up pretty big in that game.
They
Just not
did.
big enough.
Yeah, Philly was pretty good for fantasy, even though they gave up 20 points to the Bears. They had sacks and a fumble. Dallas D on the other side was okay, but Jacksonville beat them and put up 40 points. So that was kind of crazy. That was another wild game. And then, OMG got a great day out of Latavius Murray, Devonta Smith, and, of course, Josh Allen with his 4 touchdowns, 304, and then 77 on the ground, which is just like outrageous numbers, man.
Yeah, he's pretty solid quarterback right now. So
Thank goodness OMG's not in the playoffs. We don't have to deal with that.
Yeah. He didn't get too much though from his receivers or his running backs. They just
No.
when
No,
that's
it was go ahead, yeah.
no, that's the worst when you just don't get the production from your 4 key players right there. It kills you every
Yeah,
time.
he had a good shot to take me out. Like, he didn't need much more than what he got. We only beat him by 5 points, so
Yeah,
just
it's
needed a little extra from Adams, which you would expect, or Palmer was actually okay for, kind of a random flex play there. But Singletary, okay. Chubb got 99 yards, but I mean, no receptions, no touchdowns. So that's not an ideal Chubb game. Hawkinson as well, 2-point convert, but only 3 for 33. So yeah, the reign of terror continues. I got another W there, and then you were in another tight one, last but not least, there that didn't quite swing your way.
I was leading going into the Monday night, but not by much, and I knew it wasn't going to be good. So
no, he had the Packers D to wrap that up, and I think he was only down like 2 points or something, right?
yeah, it wasn't a lot.
So
So they would
yeah,
have
if it
had to
comes
have
through,
the
I mean, Mahomes did his thing. He was great for you. Waddle was
yeah,
awesome. He had that big long touchdown. Connor found the end zone with another nice day. Denver D came through against Arizona with 3 picks and 3 sacks. Ingram was okay for a tight end, right? 8 for 62. And then St. Brown was okay, good but not great. Yeah, it was really just even like a lot of solid performances. Mostly Sanders, Mixon, but I mean, you still put up almost 130 points. So it's not like you had a bad week.
No, Sanders was just a disappointment, and Mixon wasn't the greatest.
Yeah, Sanders, man, what a stat line. 42 rushing yards. So you'd figure he'd get like 4.2 points, right? But no, he lost a fumble. Okay, so now it's 2.2 points. Okay, but he had minus 13 receiving yards. No, now it's 1.4 points. Like, holy jeez, man.
Minus 13 receiving yards.
What a terrible play. One catch for minus 13 receiving yards.
That's got to be the record for a receiver this year.
It's crazy because even in a PPR league where you get a full point for a reception, that's still a negative play.
Oh, man.
That's wild. That's going to be the stat of the week right there.
Wow.
Finishing with minus 13 receiving yards in a game. On the other side, I mean, Dak had a nice day. Lockett wasn't bad. Dalvin Cook was great. He was just 95 and 95. Jesus.
Wow.
Plus the touchdown. Montgomery was fantastic as well. One on the ground, one in the air. Juju was good. He 10 for 88, even though he lost a fumble. DJ Moore got in the end zone again, 5 for 73 and 1. 2 good games now with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
And then that Green Bay D that we talked about. So Evan came through there.
Yeah, I was hoping for a miracle, but no miracle shall be.
Yeah, you needed the Hollywood Rams to pull out another big point fest, and they only put up 12 points. Plus, they got sacked 5 times and threw a pick. So
yeah, not a great turnout.
It's not a good time.
No. Nope. As long as Jay lost that week, I was okay. So
that's right. So that's the big thing. We'll talk about that in a minute when we get into the matchups. But yeah, so that sets up our matchups, and we now know who's going to play who and how things are going to shake out when tomorrow hits the ground.
For sure. Start with the Christmas week.
Yeah, it's going to be festive. Unfortunately, there were injuries, and some of them were pretty significant. So probably the biggest, I mean, not probably, it was the biggest one, was Jonathan Taylor getting injured almost like the first play of the game. He looked good. He was in a good spot against Minnesota. They ended up running the ball a ton because they got up 33-0. They ran the ball in for at least 1 rushing touchdown, maybe 2. So, I mean, he was set up to take people to the semifinals, and unfortunately provided very little points and got banged up and had to exit the game immediately.
Yeah, unfortunate.
So
for sure.
That sucks, and they're going to shut him down for the rest of the year because it's a high ankle sprain and they have nothing to play for. So if you had JT, then you're not going to get him this week. You're not going to get him next week. You're not going to get him till next year if it's a keeper or dynasty. Otherwise, he's out, done in a redraft.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, he can get back in shape for the start of next season.
It's a big game, man. It's a big loss. Big loss for them. All right. We also found out that Debo is going to be done for the regular season, but might be back in time for the NFL playoffs. Won't be back in time for our fantasy season. So he, for all intents and purposes, is done. But broke his finger at the end of the game on Thursday. So he's going to miss at least this week, maybe more. So that's a bit of a multi-impact. Lockett, obviously you can't play him. Hurts Geno's value, probably boost DK's value because he'll have more targets. Might boost some folks like Kenneth Walker out of the backfield, maybe the tight ends. Marquise Goodwin becomes an interesting pickup. So kind of a ripple effect there among the offensive pieces. And this one came through. Ryan Tannehill is going to be out this week. It's going to be the rookie Malik Willis. And they fear Tannehill might be done for the rest of the season. which is significant because they're one game ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars to win that division and get in the playoffs. So if they got to trot out Malik Willis, who last time they played, coincidentally, was against Jacksonville, and he threw the ball 10 times. So we really don't know what he's capable of. Not ideal for them. Jacksonville, if they can win tomorrow, is probably going to win that division. So,
Oh, for sure. That's crazy. Like to think that.
Colts are toast. Houston's been toast since the season started. And now the Titans are in trouble.
Wow.
So
who would have thunk?
I don't know, man. It's wild times out there. Other injuries from kind of last week carryovers. Mike White, the Jets quarterback, is out. It's going to be Zach Wilson again tomorrow night. Lamar's probably going to miss again, so it's probably going to be at the Tyler Huntley show once more. Russ is back, so he'll be back quarterback in the Broncos there. Hurts was the other big one that came through. He did finish the game, so he made sure he had a great fantasy day, and then he went and got hurt and is probably going to miss. It's going to be Gardner Minshew. And the Eagles only need one win in their last 3 games to clinch the 1 seed. So even if they were to throw Grant Minshew out there and lose to Dallas this week, which certainly that's what Vegas thinks, I don't think it's as cut and dry as maybe they have the odds at. But even that, they still got it's the Saints and either the Giants or Washington to wrap up the season. So there's a good shot, even if they lose against Dallas this week, they'll still play Minshew next week and see if they can get a win against the Saints, who are a terrible team. And I think even with Minshew in there, they could beat them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But it helps anybody that's playing against someone with Hurts. Just saying.
We'll talk about that soon. It's a little smile there, a little perk in your step. So it'll be a bit of a spoiler alert. But we're still waiting to see if Sutton makes it back. Treylon Burks might come back. Travis Homer for the Seahawks. Cooks and Collins for the Texans. Jeff Wilson Jr. We talked about Mostert having a good game. We're not sure about him. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson went ham. He was on my bench. That's why we didn't talk about him. Mecole Hardman might come back for the Chiefs. Doesn't really matter. Colt McCoy is out for the Cardinals, so they're going to have to turn to Trace McSorley, which is bad news for almost everyone in that offense. Definitely Hopkins and Marquise Brown. Connor's probably still okay, but it lowers the ceiling a bit there as well. And then Chubb, Olave, and Myers are all questionable as well. So a lot of key names that we're monitoring. And we got to remember what's tough about this week is majority of the games, all but 3, are on Saturday. So a Tuesday practice report is what normally would be a Wednesday, and a Wednesday is a Thursday, and a Thursday is a Friday because nobody's going to practice on Friday because they all play Saturday. So tomorrow is essentially the final spot for people to practice and get back on the field. So we'll know a lot ahead of time this week compared to what we normally would.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Injuries. Anything else to add in the injury section?
Nope, just makes the playoffs continue to be looking pretty exciting. Maybe a few pickups for some people, but some risky moves. Risky business.
All right. Speaking of risky moves, let's go to our survivor picks. So, last week I started my new streak by taking the Vikings to overcome the Colts, which was almost not a correct pick.
Yeah.
For all but, almost 4 quarters, it was the wrong pick. And you took a shot on the Steelers, and they came through for you. They took down the Panthers.
Woo.
So you're still riding a streak of 4. You could potentially catch my streak of 6 because we've got a couple of weeks here to go. And overall, I got 9 correct. and you have 9 correct as well. So it's tight. It's down to the finish. Not a lot of teams left to choose from. Who do you got this week as your survivor pick?
Oh man, I've just got to take a quick look here. I got to see like who have I taken. This is tough.
It's all on the show doc, so you can take a look there. But the options are going to be starting to dwindle at this point. That's for sure.
Have I taken? I have taken.
I know
the
one
Bengals.
I'm leaning. I got one in mind, but I'll let you go first because I know you've got less options here.
Oh man. Have I taken the Broncos?
No.
I'm going to take the Broncos.
Taking the Broncos to beat up on the lowly Rams. I like it.
Yes, I am.
Believe it or not, we could win our second straight game because we beat the Cardinals. So, things don't count for much this time of the year when you're already eliminated, but it makes that pick for Seattle potentially a little worse that we traded away, which softens the blow. I am going to roll with the red hot Detroit Lions. Taking on the Panthers. And I'm excited. I think that they're going to take them down. Like the way they've been playing.
Yeah.
They're going to be my lock.
I like that pick. I like it.
I thought you might. I was waiting to see you. Leave it open just in case you decided to take it. All right. On the opposite end of the spectrum, who do you got as your upset pick this week? Who's going to beat that big spread?
To the team that pulled off the biggest upset, and that's the Washington Commanders.
Oh, he's going to go back and double down.
I'm going to double down
over the 49ers. Not afraid that they just lost to the Giants. He believes.
I believe in the Commanders.
On the road in San Francisco.
Command
a victory. It's impressive. Where do I want to go with this one? I got 2 in mind. All right, you tell me what sounds more outrageous, and I'll take the more outrageous one. Option 1, the Eagles beat the Cowboys, even though they're 5-point dogs, which to me feels strange because they're the better team, but they're lacking their star quarterback.
Yeah. Could potentially.
So option one, Eagles upset the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Option 2, the Falcons upset the Ravens.
I'd go with option 2.
All right, give me the Falcons. I like it. 7-point road dogs.
Because there's a chance Jalen Hurts plays. And if he plays, I mean, that's...
Well, then it's not an upset because I think the line would move.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably would still be the Cowboys' favorite at home by like 1 or 2 or something. But, yeah. Give me the Falcons, man. I think they're feisty. The Ravens just lost to the Browns last week. They're not a very good team. Falcons are actually a fairly well-coached team, although Desmond Ritter's in at quarterback. So that's probably what makes that a little more gutsy than I necessarily want it to be. But I still think they could potentially get the job done. It's going to be a low-scoring slugfest, and I think they've got the running game to keep up.
For sure.
All right, Aaron. It's the time we've all been waiting for. We've arrived. And
playoffs.
We're gonna get talking about it.
Playoffs.
That's right.
Jim
we're here. And it's time, my man. We're gonna get to the matchups. All right. So first up in the semifinals. So I guess we might as well talk about, yes, we'll go to the consolation stuff first, as kind of who finished where. It'll be interesting too, because with the matchups, I'm 33 of 56 and you're 26 of 56. So still some time to catch up here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first up, we got Kreger, who finished as the. Just make sure that hung on. There we go. We got Evan, who finished as the 5 seed, ahead of Kreger with that victory over you there. Taking on last place Don. So, you never know how much attention they're both paying at this point, but knowing that the Sanchez Trophy is on the line if they lose this week and lose next week, nobody wants to take that home with them and display that for the year. So Dawn's probably, she might make a couple of changes. Maybe she throws Zay Jones out there like we were talking about earlier. She got Darren Waller back, actually, so probably put him in instead of Freiermuth. So a couple of tweaks there. Evan's going to have to replace Lockett in his lineup. I guess I can do the old share screen again here. Yeah. But thoughts here on Don and Evan taking each other on in the first consolation bracket match?
I think Evan's team is a better team. Yeah. It's not that Dawn, she can make those moves and she could have a really good week and beat Evan, but just right now, Prescott's looking good. Diggs still looks good. Even with Lockett out, I still think he does well with that lineup. So
yeah, it's got a pretty good lineup, man. It's got a solid team. They'll both have to make some tweak skis, but all right. Do you take Evan, and then I'll take Don.
All right.
Next up, first, there. So, battle of the 6-7 seed, both trying to avoid finding themselves competing to not win the Sanchez Trophy.
Father versus
we going
son.
with here? This is going to be kind of interesting. Kreger's got some players that are banged up and underperformed. OMG still got a solid team. We talked about having Josh Allen and not wanting to play him. Devontae Adams, Hawkinson, Devonta Smith's a little bit of a downgrade, but Murray's there. Still got that Dallas D. Where are you leaning on this one?
Give me OMG.
Oh.
There's no really reason. I'm just gonna go. Craig's got a solid team. I mean, like Evan, he's got a pretty good team. So, but I don't know, going against the grain on this one.
Okay. All right. Taking OMG it is. All right. Now we go to semifinal matchup here. All right. So, first one, let's go. We'll go here first. 1-4. So I finished as the 1 seed with a healthy 12-3 record, and Jay finished as the 4 seed. And so we square off against one another here, in what should be an intriguing battle. Here's how it breaks down. So we've played each other twice this year. We're 1-1 in the head-to-head. In terms of the points we scored in those matchups, I scored 251.52 total. He scored 236.48, so I had a slight edge in the overall. And then in terms of points per week on the year, I've averaged 137.19, and he's averaged 128.92. So we're fairly even, but certainly slight edge goes my direction on that. He's made some moves. He's been tinkering with the quarterback position ever since Lamar went down. Even before that, actually, he grabbed Lawrence, and then played Cousins, and now he's got Geno in there. He's got his studs, A.J. Brown, who's got a tough spot against Dallas with Jalen Hurts possibly out. McLaurin against the 49ers is tough. Derrick Henry against Houston is a dream come true. Jacobs should be okay against the Steelers. Andrews, we talked about being wild card. Pacheco versus McKinnon's always going to be interesting there. He's got Christian Kirk in for tomorrow night's matchup, so that's interesting. It'll kick things off on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best kicker in the game. Maybe not for fantasy, but certainly for real NFL, Tucker. And then he picked up the Bills defense to take on Chicago.
Solid.
He's got a pretty stout team. I would say for looking at key players that are going to have to kind of carry the ship for him, looking at A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and probably Geno would be the 4 players I think are going to need to carry the ship for him. What are your thoughts there?
Oh, for sure. The only thing that's wild about this is that the games are on the Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And like we saw last Saturday, what happened in the Minnesota game, it's just, I think there was something that throws teams off just a little bit. So, and it just makes it a little wacky. So that's my biggest concern like going into these playoffs, that the games are on a Saturday. How many players are going to be adjusted to that? What teams? And I just, that's like Geno Smith. That's an interesting one. I'd like to know why Geno Smith, if Lockett's out, he could have a big game, but that's an interesting.
I'll be honest. I'm a little unhappy that he grabbed Geno. I think it is actually a pretty good play because we saw. So I was talking about this earlier with someone, and see, the thing is, we saw Denver with Russell Wilson and no Cortland Sutton, no KJ Hamler torch the Chiefs for 24 points and 3 touchdowns through the air 2 weeks ago. Right. And last week we saw the combination of Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll put up another 20 points and take them to overtime.
Right.
So I think while we're looking at it like Geno doesn't have Lockett, so he's worse, which is true, I still think he's at least in the same tier as those guys, even with DK Metcalf and Walker and the tight ends. So I don't see any reason why he can't succeed against the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's a good, valid point.
So anyway, moral of the story there, I wished he didn't grab him, but he did. Another reason I wish he didn't grab him is because his star receiver, DK Metcalf, is in my lineup, and I probably will play him. Which could be good for me, I guess, if most of the production goes to Geno or goes to DK, then that'll be a win for me.
It should.
There's a few parallels here. So I've got, like I said, I got DK to his Geno Smith. I got Justin Fields, who's going against his Buffalo defense. So every time Fields gets a touchdown on the ground or through the air, it helps his score and takes down the Buffalo defense score at the same time. But if he gets sacked, it loses yardage, for the offense, not his total, but it gains points for Buffalo. So that'll be kind of a fun back and forth to watch.
Right. Yeah, it's in Chicago, so that's
yeah. And I got the Buffalo kicker, Tyler Bass. And then I got my tight end finally is coming back, Dallas Goedert, and he's got A.J. Brown. So we're both kind of hoping for the Eagles offense to do good, but not wanting either of the other person's player to do well. So that gets kind of complicated, right?
Yeah.
And then I got Lamb and Zeke currently both in. I'm probably going to roll with Zeke. I might pull him out because it's a lot of players in that Dallas-Philly game, and I'm not super thrilled about that. And then I got my studs there, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Christian McCaffrey. So feeling pretty good there. And then I got the 49ers against Washington, which again is another one because he's got Terry McLaurin. So every time Terry McLaurin does well, if he can get a touchdown or get them close to the end zone, then he'll help him and hurt my defense.
Yeah, it's gonna
be
tight.
It's gonna be interesting, man. Projections mean
really,
nothing because anything could happen.
yeah, I'm really interested in the quarterback matchup. It's just very
Yeah.
interesting to me.
I know.
But I get the play, and what you kind of said, and I get that. So, yeah, I like your tight end Jefferson more than Brown if Gardner plays. Not
Yeah.
saying Gardner can't get the job done. I like Jefferson over Brown. If Hurts plays, that's a tight matchup.
Sure.
Jamar Chase, I like over McLaurin. I like the Henry matchup.
Yeah.
I like Jacobs. I like your tight end Goddard. I like your flex player and Lamb. And I like Metcalf as well too over Kirk and Pacheco. Yeah. And kickers.
Yeah.
I like Tucker only because of Lamar being out and just how much they're relying on their kicking game right now.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
I like your D better than Buffalo. So I don't know what that adds up to, but it just adds up to a tight race.
It's gonna be close, man. And it's
Yeah.
the crazy part is you talked about the games being on Saturday. So there's still 3 Sunday games and a Monday game.
Yeah.
Neither of us are starting a player in any of those games.
Wow. So it ends on Saturday for you
It's
guys.
gonna end on Saturday. Yeah. So Saturday.
Christmas Eve.
Yes, Christmas Eve. It's gonna end with the is it the Pittsburgh versus Vegas? Is that the late game? I think it is, right? Let me just check that for a second. Based on the times are all messed up on here, but I'm
Yeah, it
pretty
is
sure.
Pittsburgh versus Raiders.
So it's going to come down to I'm going to have all my players have played, and he's going to have Josh Jacobs left to try to make up whatever point difference is left. So if I haven't established a lead by the time those games end, he will automatically win with Jacobs still to play. Otherwise, I'm going to set the bar of whatever amount of points that Jacobs needs to try to clear in that Saturday night game.
Is it going to be an early gift for Josh or an early gift for Jay?
Oh God, I hope the point total is like it's got to be like 40 for me to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Anything less than 40, and it's like Jacobs has a chance.
Yeah,
under 15, and I'm in big trouble.
You're sweating.
So 30 would be okay. 40 is where I feel like okay.
It's in Pittsburgh. Who knows what that weather's going to be like? And again, I said, it's Saturday, so you could be up by 15 and actually come out as a winner, right? Like,
it's possible. It would have worked out last week, right? Like it's
a
tough matchup against New England. He didn't put up 15, so you never know.
No, but
all right. Ultimately, we both know I'm going to take myself. Where are you going on this one?
I was going with you as well too.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
I should play devil's advocate, but
well, you want to just match up here. All right. In semifinal number dos. Numero 2. Versus the Dan Man. So this is an interesting one. So Dan finishes the 2 seed. You finishes the 3 seed. You guys also have a 1-1 head-to-head. Dan outscored you 254.7 to 227.94. He averaged 133.21 on the season per week, and you were right behind him at 130.03. So very close there. I mean, I think right off the top, the obvious thing that stands out here is Jalen Hurts is probably going to be out.
Oh man, and who's he got as their backup? It's got Watson.
I think sitting on the bench is Deshaun Watson. So that's not a player I would be excited to start based on what we've seen, what that matchup's shaping up to be like with potential wind. The over-under at this moment, last check, it was like 31-ish, 31 and a half. Maybe it got up to 32, but it's like one of the lowest over-unders in almost a decade. So not ideal. So he might want to look to the waiver wire, but if he feels like it's the way to go, he could play Watson and stack him with Cooper there and see if that pans out.
I'm glad I've kept two on my bench.
Oh man, yeah, that would be a juicy pickup to go right back at you there. So let's preview his team for a sec. So he's got to figure out the quarterback. He's got Amari Cooper and Chris Godwin at receiver. Don't love Cooper because of the matchup in the game we just talked about. Chris Godwin's been on fire though. Austin Eckler, man, his range of outcomes is just so wide. Like you saw last week, he still got in the end zone, but he's okay. Maybe like I think it was like 12 points or something. And then we've seen week where he's putting up over 30. So he's one of those players that could finish as the overall RB1, but could also just be like a top 24 back. So tough to know what he's going to get out of him. Swift is also a bit of a wild card. Seems like he's got that lead back role acquired again. But, decent matchup against Carolina in a game they should be winning. Kelsey, again, right? Like, he's a lock for 10, 15 points, but he could also go off and put up 30.
And I got Mahomes.
Which is going to, we'll get to that in a sec. But that's what I was just thinking, right? There's the counterbalance again.
Yeah, sorry, getting ahead of myself.
You got excited. It's all right. Etienne. So he's currently got Etienne in who plays tomorrow night. So your matchup will get started tomorrow as well. We'll talk about that on your side in a minute. And then he's got Jerick McKinnon, who we talked about how he's been on fire. So, I don't think there's any way you can move away from him. Another KC player, the kicker. And then right now he's got the Tampa defense. So
I had Butker for seasons.
Yeah, he's your go-to.
I know. Could come back and haunt me. He's got a good team. There's a reason why he finished in second. Obviously Kelsey, the best tight end in the game. Yeah. Swift's had up and downs, but he's coming up pretty big right now. And like you said, Eckler's had, games where he's hit for 30. So, solid. Cooper, Godwin, both big. Yeah. Tampa Bay D, that's an interesting one, but the Arizona defense, who's their quarterback? It's not.
Oh, man, they're playing without, because Colt McCoy just got hurt, so they're playing Trey McSorley in there. So that's actually a really good matchup right now.
Yeah, so pretty scared of that one.
Well, let's go over to your team and check out all your firepower. Maybe that'll make you feel a little better.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You got my homies, who now that Jalen Hurts has gone down is arguably the best fantasy quarterback out there. So between him and Josh Allen, those are the two players you want to be starting this week.
Yep.
Amon-Ra, who had a tough matchup last week and was still okay, so there's a good chance he goes off against Carolina. Waddle, who, again, stealing is, sky's the limit. He could put up a couple touchdowns in a game, no problem. Sanders is an interesting one. Don't know what's going to happen there. You kind of think, like, okay, they're going to probably run the ball more because Gardner Minshew's at quarterback. But at the same time, are they going to be trailing? Are they going to be leading? If they're trailing, do they throw it more and then kind of Gainwell's normally in there for passing downs? Not sure how that one pans out. But I think if they can keep it close, they might run him a lot this week.
Yes.
Tony Pollard in the same matchup. He's fantastic. He's basically taken over as the lead back at this point, and he can't be stopped. He even without a touchdown, still had a good game last week, but I expect there to be some points scored. So I think it's good to have a piece of that matchup. This is where your team gets started tomorrow with the man, the myth, the legend, Evan Engram, who had that crazy week there a couple weeks ago.
He did it all right last week.
Yeah, he was okay, man.
I'll take that.
Yeah. What did we say he did? 8 for 62. That's good at tight end. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Mixon, tough matchup against New England. It's just going to be about the touchdowns. Last week, Joe Burrow threw all 4 touchdowns in the end zone, which means that Mixon's not going to have as good of a day. So got to see if the touchdowns fall his way. Right, and then Connor's kind of the same thing, right? Tough matchup against Tampa Bay. Slight downgrade on the offense with Trey McSorley in there. But again, he's been getting the job done, and he's got a nose for the end zone. You got the Vegas kicker going on that Saturday night matchup, and then the Denver D against the Rams, which is also a really good play. So both defenses are solid. Both kickers are solid. So special teams is kind of interesting there. But
yeah, I think you're going to take Mixon out. Maybe even put in Higgins. That's going to be
you got T. Higgins on the bench there, and you got Mike Evans. So you could toy between one of those two if you wanted to throw them out there.
Maybe even both. Switch it up a little bit. We'll see. Got to make moves quick, though. Yeah, I like my team. I feel confident in my team. I'm a little worried about Waddle and Green Bay. Well, they're playing at home, so I'll leave them.
I think it'll be a good shootout. I think it'll be like a high-scoring game with lots of points.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, Green Bay's got a good defense, but not like a great defense. Miami's got a bad defense, but they've got an elite offense. So I think their offense beats Green Bay's defense, and Green Bay's offense is good enough to beat Miami's defense. So I think they can both score points.
Yeah.
So look, we talked about some of the parallels here. So Chiefs-wise, I mean, Dan's loaded up, right, with Kelsey, McKinnon, and Butker, but you got the man steering the ship in Mahomes. And then you both got a Lion rocking with Swift versus St. Brown. You both got a Jaguar tomorrow with Etienne versus Ingram. And you got the running backs on either side of that Dallas-Philly game. And right now with Connor in, you guys are both rocking some players in that Bucks-Cardinals game on Sunday. So he's got the defense in Godwin, and you got Connor. So that would be the game that would conclude the matchup. So yours would go right down to the wire on Sunday night.
He's got a Monday night game, too.
Oh, he's got Eckler on Monday. Jeepers.
Yeah.
Man, so you're going to be – and you got Waddle on Sunday along with Connor. So, yeah, so you're going to be wrapping up your day Sunday afternoon, and he's going to be having players – oh, no, you'll have Connor going. So you'll have their last play Sunday night, and you'll set the bar like I do for Jay with him to try to overcome it with whatever's left for Eckler. We're both in that position where we finish before our opponent, and we just hope that we've put up enough points that we win.
Yeah, it's oh man, that's nerve-wracking when that happens. You just got a dicey spot. I really you just said it when you said I hope I am up by 40. And then I tried to give you hope like being up by 15. No, I agree. I want to be up by 40.
That's the comfortable number. Anything less than that, and there's a good chance still.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's gonna be man, that's a tough one. Now I'm just getting nervous. I think though Mixon, I'm gonna probably pull him just because that New England D is pretty good against the run. So, and they're in that loss, they're gonna come out and play hard at home.
They still got a chance to make the playoffs if they can win a couple games. So they got lots to play for, right?
But I'm still going with me.
All right. You're still going with you. Oh, this is a complete toss-up for me. Dan, if Dan was playing Jalen Hurts, I would go Dan because I think his team, that's the wild card. He's just so good that he cancels out Mahomes. Mm-hmm. But no matter who he puts in there, Mahomes is going to be better than that person. So now you're looking at, does he have the roster to make up the remaining points? And with Kelsey catching passes from Mahomes and both of them, Kelsey kind of helping Mahomes have a good day and that being his next best player, then it really needs to be Eckler that carries the load, unless he gets some big days out of some of those guys. I think you could take this as be my guess, truthfully. I think because of the quarterback, that's where I'll go. I'm gonna stick with you as well. Ooh, nerve-wracking, my man. It's coming. Playoffs are about to get rolling. Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs. Now, so we're both taking in each other, ironically, which is not usually the way things go. We're usually picking against one another, but here we are. in the moments of cheering for one another. And now we move over to time to go to that last sip segment.
Last sip.
Oh, yeah. Cue that up. Let's do it. Have a drink on me.
Cola. Oh, refreshing.
All right. Well, if all goes well, it'll be you and me talking about facing each other next week. But until then, we got some NFL playoffs that's, we're starting to learn a little bit more about. We've got some more info here. So let's jump in. We'll go NFC first. So just like last week, Eagles have still clinched 13-1. We talked about that they can clinch the 1 seed with a victory this week, next week, or the week after. They're, of course, taking on Dallas. Minnesota, with their crazy win over the Colts, has clinched the division. So they're in, and they're sitting at 11-3, which is still kind of crazy to comprehend with all the games they've had where they were either losing late in the fourth quarter or blown leads or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're going to host a playoff game, and they've got this, second most wins in the NFC. So, hey, second most wins in the NFL they're tied with, actually. But
who knew?
After that, the 49ers, with that win over the Seahawks, because that's the next team that was trying to catch them, they moved to 10-4, and they've also clinched their division. So 49ers are in. Brock Purdy is going to be playing a playoff game unless Jimmy G somehow is back. But he's going to be hosting a playoff game at home in January. So I'm excited for that.
This next one, I can't believe.
The Bucks.
Can't believe it.
6-8. They lost, man. They lost, but everybody else lost. The only people who won were the who played they played each other, the Saints and the Falcons. The Saints beat the Falcons because the Falcons are terrible.
Horrible division.
But Carolina lost, the Falcons lost, Tampa Bay lost. The Saints won, but I mean they're 5-9. Everybody else is 5-9. So all the Bucks have to do is win again, and they play Arizona this week, who's an even worse team somehow. So they're gonna finish like 7-9 and get in the playoffs and host a game, man. Or 7-10 or something. It's gonna be just ridiculous.
Could you imagine?
I'm telling you, man. All right. So I mean, we probably both. I mean, even though they're terrible, I still think they're better than the Saints, Panthers, and Falcons, and they're going to win the division.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Wild cards. We got the Cowboys, so they've got a bit of a cushion here, right? They're 10-4. Even if they lose to the Eagles, it'd be 10-5. The next team has 8 wins, so they've got the cushion. They've got the tiebreaker with the teams tracing them. So they're more or less locked into a playoff spot. I mean, if they win this week, I think they'll officially be in a playoff spot. But they're going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of when at this point.
For sure.
Massive win for the Giants over the Washington Commanders. They now take over the second wild card spot at 8-5-1, and Washington takes the third at 7-6-1. So that's real tight there. And then the next 2 teams, man, Seahawks at 7-7, Lions at 7-7.
Come on, Lions.
I'm telling you. They knock off Carolina this week. Washington loses to the 49ers. Then they go to 8-7, and Washington would be 7-1. They would pull ahead of them and take over that last playoff spot.
Whew.
Craziness, man. Craziness. I'm excited to see those Lions get in, man. That'd be a fun matchup to watch.
Yes, it would be.
And right now, it would be we'll see how the standings shake out depending on what happens with the Vikings and 49ers down the stretch. But if they finished as the last one, it would be Vikings versus Lions in the first round.
That should be a gun.
That'd be so good. That would be so good.
Center.
All right. So that's where we sit. As I said, the Seahawks and Lions are 7-7, and then the Bucks have everybody chasing them. Ready to move to the AFC?
Let's do it.
Bills still have the 1 seed with a nice win over Miami there. Josh Allen's heroics at 11-3. Chiefs are still hot on their trail at 11-3. The Chiefs have actually clinched and the Bills haven't, which is kind of ironic. But the Chiefs have clinched because our division is so bad and the Chargers. So they're going to get in and host a playoff game. It's just a matter of will they get that 1 seed off of the Bills or not. So Bills got to take down Chicago this week, which is a pretty good bet to happen. And then who did the Chiefs play again? We talked about that earlier. The Chiefs play the Seahawks, right? So it's a good game. I think it'll be a good one, but I still think the Chiefs are going to win that game.
Yes, same here.
After that, we got the Bengals, who kept their playoffs hopes rolling along with that comeback win over the Buccaneers. So they're 10-4, staying ahead of the Ravens now because the Ravens lost to the Browns. So they control their path to try to clinch that division and host a game. And they're taking on the Patriots this week, like we talked about. So that's going to be a good matchup. Then we got the Titans at 7-7, who we discussed are in trouble, and the Jaguars are 6-8. So if the Jaguars can win tomorrow, they're going to put some real pressure on the Titans.
That would be interesting.
Oh man, Trevor Lawrence coming back from the whole Urban Meyer fiasco, and then gets his team and wins a division title the next year. Can you imagine?
It's quite a story, that's for sure.
Teams that we would not have predicted to be as far ahead in their development as they are, man. Jaguars, Jets, Lions, all three have a shot to make the playoffs.
Wow.
So we said the Ravens are a 9-5, so they're the first wild card, and they're gonna need a big win this week over Atlanta, and I don't think it's gonna be easy. I took them as my almost upset, so obviously I believe there's a chance that they could lose. The Chargers, with their loss, dropped to 8-6. With their win, they moved up to 8-6. So they're actually taking over the next wild card spot. Put themselves in a decent position here. And they got the Colts on Monday night, so should be another win there. And then the Dolphins at 8-6. With their loss over the Bills, they allowed the Chargers to catch up to them. And they'll take on Minnesota, we said?
Yeah.
Green Bay. That was it.
Green Bay. Yeah, sorry.
So another big game there. And then we got the Jets and Patriots sitting at 7-7, hot on the trail of the two of them.
Wow.
So
it's going to be good. It's going to be tight.
Still lots to be decided. 3 weeks to go and lots of games that matter still, which is good for fantasy. Good for NFL entertainment.
Yes, I agree. And great for Christmas Day. So,
woo, it's going to be fun. All right. Speaking of entertainment, last but not least, what do we got here for the old game of the week?
I got to go with, even if he doesn't play, Philadelphia, Dallas.
Oh, yeah. I like it, man. I'm excited. A real fun game. Two good teams that can score, and they're players that you want in your lineups and want to see what they can get done. Oh man, it's fading now. Where do we go? Where do we go? Tomorrow's is right up there, man. I'm tempted to say that one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I'll do tomorrow's, man. I'm excited. I want to see the Jags and Jets.
I was thinking that game.
It could be a bit ugly because the wind could be a factor, and the defense is really good, so the Jaguars could get shut down, and the Jets' offense is kind of bad, so they might not be able to capitalize. But I'm hoping it's worth the watch, and then it produces some fun moments for us.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Anything else before we sign off and wait for our fate to begin in 24 hours?
Nope. Just enjoy the playoffs. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
All right. GibsonFantasyFootball.com. Gibson_FF on Twitter. Gibson Fantasy Football, all one word. YouTube, Podbean, Instagram, and Spotify. Happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy. Have a good time. And as always, clear eyes, full heart, can't lose.